Hello, what is up everybody? It is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I am of course back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario 64 DS for the Nintendo DS. So, remember yesterday about the fact that we have managed to able to wrap things up everything in terms of Rainbow Ride, as well as for that we also did manage to collect 4 more power stars in the actual castle secret stars, and that was something else. That is completely something else entirely though, but either way though, despite that I did manage to come across into quite a few deaths here and there, but that was a complete accidental kind of stuff. So yeah, today for this episode, this will actually be the finale in terms of Super Mario 64 DS before we get on to the forms of the mini games on the actual Rec Room. So because the reason being for this is because for this point today, for this episode anyway, is that not only as you can see that we're about to be catching a whole bunch of rabbits, like I believe there are about 7 rabbits each if I recall correctly. I think there's like 7 each. So in this case that we need to catch for about, well, let's just say 28 in total when it comes to certain rabbits, like depending on what characters you're going to be using. Such as, for instance, we're going to be catching 7 rabbits for Mario, and then another 7 for Yoshi, and then another 7 for Luigi, and of course the final 7 from the likes of Wario. But here's the catch though, there's also another special variation of that specific, or another variation I should say, of those rabbits, which I'll talk more about that once we're able to actually catch certain rabbits, and also, eventually, we're able to actually come across into our final power star in the game, and also we're able to try to beat Bowser once and for all. So, this is going to be the longest episode yet, for the sake of the forms of Super Mario 64 DS at this point, folks, because, well, there's going to be a lot of bunny catching for this point, and, to top it all off though, it's going to be a lot of busy work going on around here. So because of that though, if you notice about the fact that I'm actually going to be going after several rabbits from the likes of certain characters, but some other times though, that if I was going to able to actually just do backtrack for certain floors every now and then, sometimes though I always have to look up on certain things or what have you before I managed to find the rest of them. So because of that though, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of busy work and all that stuff though, because unlike, you know, in the original Super Mario 64, that it only has like 2 rabbits, like one of them once you're able to begin the basement floor, but then you get the second rabbit once you collect 50 power stars. So because of this though, you probably get the idea of how there's gonna be a lot of like content in this remake compared to the original though, and plus because of how the fact that you can able to play this on the go, so that way you could be potentially trying to able to get the idea about the fact that you weren't able to do a lot of heavy work stuff to deal with. So because yeah, every time you catch any of those rabbits, that's obviously for the first time actually, you're able to actually get yourselves a key. Now if you're probably wondering what that key is for, this basically means this will actually unlock certain mini games on the actual Toadstool's Rec Room, or Princess Toadstool's Rec Room, likely due to the forms of the fact that we can able to actually unlock certain mini games for, like, you know, for Yoshi, for Mario, for Luigi, and Wario. And 4 of those character mini games are actually divided into a few different categories. Like specifically, there are some based off from action, some of them from variety, some of them from the likes of, well, let's just say, gamble games, and, I think that's as far as I can think about it. Oh, and also skill as well, I'm presuming so anyway. Even though it has been a really long time since I actually did manage to play this specific Super Mario 64 DS remake after all, just because, well, I'm just more used to with the forms of the original game though, because here's the thing though, because obviously with the forms of a lot of like hand cramp moments, well, assuming if you're able to try to play it on the DSi XL or something like that, because obviously the DSi XL doesn't seem to have the analog stick, so because of that though, although playing it on the 3DS makes the thing slightly a little bit better, but the accuracy is still a bit more far cry to the original game though. And also to top it off, that the Wii U Virtual Console re-release version definitely feels a little bit slightly better, but still I think the accuracy is a bit somewhat far cry to the original though, but that's just me anyway. Oh yeah, there are a few moments like this whenever you come across into the special variations of those specific rabbits. Although, mind you though, they might be pretty much randomized each time whenever you're able to try to go ahead and leave off screen for certain points worth noting for. Because otherwise though, there's going to be a lot of like, this is the reason why this video is going to take so long to able to actually for the sake of uploading like these. Like, due to the fact that, well, I think the best way we can able to do this though, if you really want to get the final power star in the game, then you notice there's actually that white door over there. Now if you're probably wondering, how do you get in there? Well, if I were you, I think I might as well able to stuck with Yoshi for this point, because, well, if we manage to able to go into the outside portion of the Princess Peach's castle, then basically we'll able to actually, well, assuming if we're able to try to catch those, you know, those rabbits, then sometimes though, it's gonna be a lot of, like, huge emphasis on chasing and stuff like that, so, yeah, you probably get the idea how that goes. So, yeah, in addition to the fact that, well, there's gonna be, like, a grand total of 28 rabbits to catch, but there's also an additional with, well, I'll talk more about that in just a moment, because, well, obviously, as you can see, that we now onto the outside, portion of, well, the front portion of, Princess Peach's castle at the moment, and then able to actually just trying to, you know, catch those rabbits and all that stuff, though. It might not take that long, though, although it will continue that tradition until Super Mario Galaxy came out and Super Mario Galaxy 2 by the forms of those Star Bunnies. And, what else is there? Oh yeah, there was also one from the likes of, Super Mario 3D World for certain green stars, and I think that's pretty much how that goes. And also they continues that as well in the likes of Super Mario Odyssey. So not Super Mario Sunshine though, or you know, Super Mario 3D Land, because Super Mario Sunshine is all about, you know what I mean, the actual summer kind of themed game. In fact, I would like to able to actually play that game again at some point on my Nintendo Switch, on my 3D, Super Mario 3D All-Stars compilation game, so that way I can able to actually get myself an enjoyable time again, but this time around though with a much better summer than the likes of last year was. So, and it's actually pretty cool because, well, usually relatively speaking, because otherwise though, it might get a bit better. I'm not exactly 100% sure about this just yet though. But anyway, oh wow, I just simply managed able to catch that rabbit and then they just somehow collide to each other almost. That sounds crazy. So, anyway, a few things I want to explain about for this point today is the fact that obviously today's day is of course March 26th of 2021 today, in this case in Friday, mind you. Several things I'd like to discuss upon is that, first of all, I'm presuming that the game called Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver in the UK version, which is to be more specifically Generation 2 remake from the likes of the DS versions of Generation 2 and stuff like that. I believe those remakes have been... Did they came out in 2009 or something? Although I might have miscounted on that, so I do apologize for that. But, either way though, I keep on thinking about the forms of another game I was going to be thinking of anyway, so I think I sort of miscount on it, I'm sorry. But, for the ones in the UK release I'm talking about, is that, well, those two games came out for about 11 years ago now. So, it's pretty crazy, doesn't it? And, also, about the fact the matter is, though, is the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking, is the fact that we only got about a month left, well, for Japan anyway, that Mario Party 9 will be out for about 9 years later kind of routine, well, for Japan anyway, so even then, though, yeah, it just feels kind of scary kind of thing about it when it comes to likely when time usually flies by almost. So, but either way though, that pretty much summed up as much. So anyways, as you can tell, that I keep on finding most of these rabbits as Yoshi. Even though, mind you, there was actually one missing from the likes of Mario's rabbits for sure. But I'll promise you, I will be back for it, so don't worry. So either way though, yeah, this is the reason why it might actually be one of the longest videos yet for the likes of Super Mario 64 DS so far. This is mainly because of a lot of busy work has been going on. You know, this kind of does the exact same thing as the forms of Sonic Events 3, that you have to find all 10 Chow in a zone, and that just becomes like a, you know, a sort of a busy work kind of stuff. But I digress. And another thing is worth noting for at this point actually, I've recently managed to order not only one, not two, but three Xbox One games. Now you're probably thinking that you still haven't got the Xbox One console yet, aren't you? Well, true, but here's the thing, or here's the interesting part, and it's actually good news actually. Sony's Xbox One games I actually did ordered are actually compatible with the Xbox Series X, which is like awesome. And those are two Sonic games and also one Super Monkey Ball game to complete our collection, which you know, we'll talk more about that until whenever we get into the forms of well, you know what I mean. So those are Sonic Mania Plus, because I enjoyed that game for both on the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. Well, to be more specifically, the Switch version, just because I love playing Sonic Mania / Sonic Mania Plus on the go, which I always have a really damn good time with it. And I thought to myself I might as well get the Xbox One version as well. Well, despite the fact that it plays out pretty much exactly the same as all other versions, although mind you, the only one I'm probably not going to pick up is the PC Steam version, just because of how the fact that, well, usually I'm not a PC gaming per se, but I know some people are, but not for me personally. So because of that though, yeah, I'm also able to skip the PC version throughout. So and there's also Sonic Forces, even though despite the fact that I managed to able to got no bonus edition this time around, which, you know, just like it informs of how it does it on, well, let's just say, for example, I used to have Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed for the PlayStation 3, and I somehow managed to got myself the Inner Stalls version of that game, and obviously I don't have additional add-on content and stuff like that, which that's fine by me, because otherwise it will still be accessible when it comes to the forms of, well, PlayStation Network Store and stuff like that on my PlayStation 3. Speaking of which though, actually, I don't know if it's just like a rumor and stuff like that, but it might be sounds a little bit sad news indeed, for those of you ever actually didn't got the PlayStation 3 or PSP or the PlayStation Vita, because I'm saying this because, well, apparently they might try to able to close the PSN store. And I was like, are you kidding me? Although, mind you, I'm pretty much organized for myself when it comes to certain purchasable things I've got at the moment. But it's kind of sad that if that seems to be true, then it might actually be like, okay, so this is definitely a sequel to the forms of Nintendo Wii shop channel closure, as well as the DSi closure, stuff like that. So yeah, it might be seems pretty sad, assuming if that happens. But we don't know when exactly though. It might, depending on the forms of the rumors are fake or real. But we'll see what happens during later on throughout the year. So although mind you, we still can able to actually access to the PS4 store along with the PlayStation 5 store, so even then though, that might be something a huge plus in my book. So yeah, that pretty much sums up from there. So yeah, anyway, and it might can do the same thing for the likes of I managed to got the original version of Sonic Forces for the Xbox One, despite the fact that I managed to able to don't purchase the bonus edition for it. Likely it has like all Sega themed costumes, which I already have those from the likes of the PS4 version when it came out, and the Switch version as a Christmas gift. And it might be a little bit different this time around though for the likes of the Xbox One version. So yeah, that might be seems the case. Although I'm pretty sure I might as well still be able to actually access to Shadow episode or episode Shadow kind of mode. So at least that was for free, if I recall. So at least I got that. So, but I digress. And finally, the most notable thing out of them all, though, is Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD. So that means, yes, I finally managed to get the Xbox One version of Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD. Despite the fact that most people seem to have mixed feelings about the remake, which is true because of how the fact that they add obviously lack of content and stuff like that. But the reason why I got this is just to complete the entire Super Monkey Ball game collection up to this point. Well, assuming if Sega were able to actually reveal the next one, according to the rumors and stuff like that, but then if it's gonna be cancelled, then I'm gonna be blaming on that stupid little virus thing, and I'm gonna kill it. Anyway, not literally though, because it's still dangerous out there, so I'm probably not gonna risk it too much, so but you know, you get the idea of how that goes, so even then though. But again, the good news about these 3 games I just ordered is that those games will be definitely will have a compatibility on Xbox Series X if I was going to be planning to get one. So at least assuming if the actual stalkings will go back up. So yeah, that seems pretty awesome. Although originally I was going to try and able to get the Xbox One version of Team Sonic Racing, but I will save that until for the later day, just because, well, obviously there's not much else purchased at the moment when it comes to everything else so far. Well, apart from the fact that I'm still able to pre-order Mario Golf Super Rush for the Switch, so that way I can able to spend some time during the summer, and also The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, that I can able to play that game again, but this time on the go and 60 frames per second, and even especially noticeable with button controls rather than just motion controls focused and stuff like that, unlike the original Wii version. So yeah, that seems a little bit more obvious standard stuff, even though, mind you, there are some interesting rumors out there, for what I've heard anyway, that I don't know if it's just me, but I'm pretty sure that, speaking of PlayStation, that I've heard from several rumors out there. They did say about the fact that they will try to make another PSP apparently, which I don't know if it's going to be true or not, but apparently it's going to call it PSP codenamed, well, let's just say a codenamed, I should say, PSP 5G, which is more accurately the upgraded version of that specific, like a free Wi-Fi kind of thing. I'm not exactly 100% sure if I can describe it, but apparently though, it's gonna able to try to compete the Nintendo Switch, apparently. So I'm guessing that rumor might able to come out from somewhere else. So it might be seems a bit interesting when that thing is actually revealed. But we don't know exactly when though, just because, again, certain businesses having a hard time at the moment for the sake of the forms that, you know, the stupid virus, and it's been stressful for them. Which I felt incredibly sorry for, because even then though, I would love to see some new projects they're going to be working on, including some upcoming titles for certain PlayStation 5 games for sure, and especially noticeable with the Xbox Series X games, essentially. So, even then though, it's just that, well, it's just it feels a bit like all over the place when it comes to certain development schedules. Several rumors are now being spreading across the internet at the moment, and it's just, all around, it's just like, it's just too all over the place, I'm telling you. And speaking of such though, it's the fact that most of these rumors out there keep on mentioning about the forms of the next upgrade for the likes of the Nintendo Switch, in this case Nintendo Switch Pro. So we don't know exactly when, if that's due out just yet, but they're expecting to be hoping that if the Switch Pro was going to be releasing by the end of this year, along with the forms of Breath of the Wild sequel. So at least they're expecting to be happening, but again, we don't know exactly for surely just yet though, but we'll see what happens. There's a lot of mouth talking I have to deal with right there, folks. I must admit that I do apologize for that, because either way though, I just want to get the actual some negativity out of the way, and then just trying to focusing on the positives. So anyway though, so let's go ahead and keep on moving. Oh yeah, something's worth mentioning for this point as well is that usually, as far as I recall correctly, that the Tom and Jerry the movie, the newer one, apparently though that particular film did recently came out yesterday in the UK, but I think it was on internet apparently. So because of that though, But, however though, I probably won't gonna be able to watch it. For a few reasons mostly. Number one is that for what I've seen the reviews out there, specifically critics and all that stuff, didn't like the film all that much. Mainly it's because it feels kind of similar to Sonic 06, where they put, you know, cartoon characters in the actual realistic portion, worlds and all that stuff though. It might not seem to work that well. And, I don't know about you, but, the only, redeemable quality to this though is that the slapstick on Tom and Jerry, it still looks quite top-notch. Especially noticeable they do have some several references. Mind you, I probably won't spoil the film. For those of you able to live in the UK, that you're probably not going to see any spoilers for the time being. So I probably won't going to mention that. So, oh, what do we have over there? It looks like we actually come across into ourselves another rabbit variation. Which appears to be, well, sparkling, glowing white rabbit there. So even then though, once you're able to find him, then he's telling us that there are 8 of these glowing rabbits, and we need to find all 8 of them because, well, if you find all 8 of these glowing rabbits, something interesting will happen if you manage to find all 8 of them. So this means, yes, there are about 36 rabbits in total in order to able to grab everything. Like 28 from the likes of those mini-games, and another 8 that makes a grand total of 36 rabbits, mind you, for something completely different. Which, yeah, that seems quite a lot, actually. But, yeah, I believe in order to able to get the last rabbit for Luigi, well, here's the thing though, you do realize is the fact that, much like in Super Mario 64, they do notice that particular cannon part that we just managed to walk past, has been caged up. However though, here's the thing though, is that, basically, in order able to actually access the cannon, which, I believe you're able to allows you to able to launch onto the rooftop of Princess Peach's castle once again, just like the original Super Mario 64, and basically, that not only does it give you, like, well, I'll mention more about that whenever we're able to actually done with this whole rabbit catching process first, so, but again, it might take some time alone, especially noticeable because, as you can see, that I've somehow managed to able to still stuck with Yoshi for the time being, because obviously, in addition to able to actually keep on, like, entering the door and exit out again, so even then though, that way you can get yourselves an easier method by able to hopefully trying to come across into those rare, glowing rabbits, as far as I'm aware. So, but again, it's quite randomized each time whenever you're able to actually expect to find one. So, either way though, there's gonna be a lot of emphasis on busy work and stuff like that, so, get used to that. Especially noticeable because I did manage to, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that back in 2010, if I recall correctly, that whenever I managed to able to play this on my own time, on File 2, that I somehow realized this the fact that I don't seem to able to come across into those glowing rabbits on my extra file, in this case in File 2. So I don't know if it's just probably because of the forms of some sort of like a soft lock when it comes to 100% accomplishment, but I don't know, it has been a long time since I actually known about this specific stuff, so... Anyways, here's another glowing rabbit right there, so we'll just go ahead and eat him up. And now he's telling us that we only got about 6 more glowing rabbits to go, so even then though, we can expect this much. So, and every time you catch one of those glowing rabbits, and if you manage to able to unlock the new minigame for a specific amount of characters, then basically it tells you to save your game, so which I did anyway, so that way I can keep in track of my progress. So, yeah, that seems all standard stuff for the most part, especially noticeable how the fact that, well, again, it continues that tradition ever since in the future games in the series, so... Anyways though, so it looks like I don't really think... Oh, there's another one over there too. So yeah, I think the easiest way to able to get the glowing rabbits, like super easy and simple, is by using Yoshi, and you can have to keep on like entering the castle or exit out the castle, and that way you can get yourselves an easier time trying to able to catch those glowing rabbits without even like going into the tedium mode. Although mind you, back in about a decade ago, that I somehow managed to able to go all over the place when it comes to finding those glowing rabbits, but every now and then, that I simply know what to do here, so by simply able to do the easiest method. So, I know some people might find this a bit tedious though, especially noticeable because normally, relatively speaking, as I said this earlier, sometimes those glowing rapid spots might be pretty much gonna be quite random, so even then though, because chances are, it's gonna be a lot of luck factor to it, so... But anyway though, yeah, let me know in the comments below for the question of the day. Basically, it's the fact that have you ever experienced the Xbox One, so far? Even though, mind you, I have managed to test this out by, my own time back in 2014, and I'm still not a big fan of the name, or, the controller feels a bit, kind of, loud, and also the triggers are like somewhat mushy and stuff like that, which I wasn't, you know, terribly fond of. But that's probably just me anyway. But thankfully, the Xbox Series X controller does manage to fix it. So to make things a little bit more quieter, and also to top it off, much more better shoulder, or in this case, a trigger button. So at least I'm happy that's to be the case. So, and as far as I like to discuss upon more things, well, I must be honest here. There's not much else I can talk about. Well, aside from the fact that, well, it might be still pretty much sad news until when we get to the point until, well, let's just say until likely 6 days time or less in Japan. That, sadly though, is the fact that most of those, oh, another glowing rabbit, so I might as well catch that, is that obviously some of those, you know, Super Mario Bros. 35th anniversary items will no longer going to continue for its lifespan. To be more specifically, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, both digitally and physically. But again, as I said this countless amount of times already, unless if you're able to try to find the physical version of Super Mario 3D All-Stars in a second-hand condition, so that way you can able to actually give yourselves the benefit of the doubt when it comes to able to still trying to get your chance to able to actually play Super Mario 3D All-Stars physically. But as far as digital download, as far as I'm concerned, well, digital distribution, well, unfortunately though, you can't get it anymore. Unless if you're able to re-download it before it even decides to go into the closure. And, also, same applies to the forms of several other merchandise will be no longer continuing, because otherwise the actual price will be, well, skyrocketing, well, specifically on eBay or anything else like that. And, also, the Game & Watch Super Mario Bros. Edition will no longer going to be continuing shipping. Again, unless if you find that particular device for a second-hand condition, unless if the actual price goes all skyrocketing, which, it might be seems true every nowadays, especially noticeable if it's like a collector's item or something, so, but I digress. And of course, the most upsetting thing of them all though, it will obviously have to be by the forms of Super Mario Bros. 35 game will be able to end off service, and to top it off, they're able to actually just to get rid of the game for, well, for the bad. Especially noticeable, it's kind of a shame, because even then though, that I noticed that some people seem to be able to enjoy that game so much, because, you know, as I mentioned this before already, it's all about, you know, you compete against with 34 other players around the world, so either way though, that might be seems the case at all, so, but I digress. So, yeah, another thing is worth noting for is the fact that, well, since I was a, well, I don't know about you for saying this, but, oh yeah, there's also another sad news for when it comes to, like, well, not only for the likes of some Mario fans, but for the another white glowing rabbit, all in that specific, usual spots right there, so that's pretty awesome and top-notch. So I think we only got about one rabbit left, so yeah, we're actually getting pretty close, so... And also, finally, is the fact that the Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, unfortunately though, for the actual digital distribution version of that game, will also be gone. So yeah, it kind of sucks, honestly, for some fans out there. Although, mind you, for Metacritic, somehow, for whatever reason, they just managed to give the game 62% out of 100. I think it's maybe obvious because it was like old school, or maybe they prefer the modern Fire Emblem games for sure. And Nintendo Life managed to able to give it like a 5 out of 10, which that's alright. But either way though, that might be seems the case anyway though, according to my phone knowledge. So anyways, once you grab all 8 of those glowing rabbits, then the glowing rabbit will tell us that, well, here's your key for ya. And basically, we're able to actually finally get the key. And what could you use it for? Well, you know what I mentioned this before, about the fact that with that particular white door, as I shown it to you earlier, well, we can now finally open it and see what's inside. So, in this case, we're about to find out right now. Although, mind you, there are a few rabbits I'm still missing though, but Les is focusing on this first. And let's see what's inside. So let's open up the door. And inside, it contains the final Power Star. Yes, we got all 150 Power Stars in the game. So this means we've basically 100% everything. So, now before we get into the forms of the final boss in the game, specifically Bowser, we need to face off against, well, there's actually that particular rabbit that I was going to be mentioning when it comes to for Luigi. Not only being about the fact that, well, if you're about to be missing on something, although first of all, I somehow managed to ignore that rabbit from the likes of almost right near to Bob-omb Battlefield, but hopefully I was able to catch him like so. And hopefully that'll give Luigi another minigame to able to play through. So, yeah, that seems very obvious standard stuff. And now let's go ahead and go on to the outside of Princess Peach's castle for this point, because, well, if you couldn't tell already, since I've got myself, you know, 150 Power Stars in the game, or 150 of them to be exact. If you grab all these Power Stars, well, much like the original Super Mario 64, you would be able to actually access the cannon, and basically if you blast it off onto the actual castle rooftops, as you can see, and basically, in addition to giving you 3 extra lives, and also the actual power-up or block, which could be either be the feather for Mario, or the power flower for the rest. So, and after that though, there's actually the final green rabbit for Luigi. So, yeah, it might be seems a bit weird to able to actually place that rabbit on once you're able to grab every single Power Star in the game. But it might be seems a little bit weird at first. So, there we go. That's all of the keys for Luigi. So, all needs left is, well, I would say the last few keys for Wario, and hopefully we're about to be able to take on Bowser for the final time. So, yeah, that seems a part of the plan. So, yeah, that's what I can honestly try to say for this point, guys, because, usually, relatively speaking, it's as far as the forms of, you know, the entire Let's Play of this game goes, it actually goes by a lot better than I was expecting. Certainly a lot more better than the forms of how it does it back in, you know, 2016 and 2017 at the same time, just because, well, you know what I mean, several delays and bad sound mixing, and I did manage able to have my commentary did manage to cut out on the very first part of the actual playthrough. So, but thankfully though, that's no longer the case at all, luckily. So, at least this Let's Play is a lot better than I was expecting. So, anyways, let's go ahead and grab this final rabbit in the whole game, and, well, we are basically done. So, there we go. There's the final minigame key for Wario, and, well, that pretty much should be good to go. And of course, this will be the last time we're going to be able to save the game right here, so we already know we can able to actually save it. So, anyway though, so let's go ahead and go back into the inside the castle. And I think we're much able to change it to, or switch to Mario at this point, because again, if you use Wario, Yoshi, or Luigi, those 3 characters will not be accessible on Bowser in the Sky level, so only Mario, he's the only one you can able to enter into. But before we get into this actually, let me just talk to Toad right here. Awesome, all the keys are back. Princess Toadstool won't get mad now. How can I ever thank you? Please play the minigames in the drawer to your heart's content. Why, thank you, Toad. But, I'll save that up and doing at some point in next week. To be more specifically, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that way we can able to get this game finished by, well, let's just say until on April the 1st. Well, I'm not going to pull up the April Fool's joke or anything like that, so please do not worry. So, at least it's still happening. So, anyway though, so let's go ahead and, try to go back up. And, well, we can show to you, we can able to actually go back into, the endless staircase, assuming if you're able to actually didn't collect enough power stars, or if you used, different characters. So, I'm not exactly sure if this is still possible, that you can able to actually play with Luigi in this level, but turns out it might not be, just because of the ending portion of, once we defeat, Bowser for the final time, then you do realize that Mario, he's the only one you can able to use, the wing cap after all. So because of that though, unlike Luigi, doesn't seem to use that, or Wario, or even Yoshi for that matter. Although mind you, if Yoshi managed to able to obtain some sort of like a wings kind of power-up, that would be nice, kind of like how it did in Super Mario World, but that's probably just me, for I'm being so much more of a nitpicking, but I digress. Okay, time to go for this awesome shortcut by doing a long jump just around here, although I would like to able to actually proceed this level quite fast, but I probably won't gonna be able to do that, just because it might be seems a bit too risky for my taste, so... But we'll just try to keep things a little bit steady for ourselves. So we'll grab the one up, and try to be very careful not to get screwy with those jumps, and climb onto that little bean pole, and well, a pole in general I should say, but anyway, let's just make sure that we're not gonna let these Goombas trying to screw me up or something, because if they do, then otherwise I'm gonna have to restart the entire level again. So, that won't be that fun if that will happen, so... Anyway though, so let's go ahead and, be very careful not to, like, mess up with jumps and all that stuff. And, since we don't need to worry about the forms of the Switch Star or the red coins, because obviously we already obtained those, ever since the Journey forms have been, well, let's just say the previous part yesterday, so... Anyways, onto the green pipe, and we'll take on Bowser for the third and the final time. So, basically, you know the drill. Basically, it's gonna have to let him trying to able to get loose balance on him, and after when he's loose balance, then basically you have to just throw at him, or in this case, trying to able to spin the tail around him, and then just toss him into the bombs. And this time around though, he only has like 3 hits, as opposed to 1. And of course, since this is recording on the Wii U system, so this meaning that trying to able to actually just to spin Bowser around is actually a lot easier with the analog stick, because unlike the directional pad, it's actually a bit of a pain, because otherwise you get yourselves your thumb cramp. But I digress, and I somehow missed my shots there. But that's fine, because either way though, we can still able to actually just you know, try to able to survive the fight. Honestly, this fight is actually not too hard though, although the only time it's incredibly difficult is of course if you ever play this on the actual DS hardware, just because of the lack of analog stick and stuff like that. Although mind you, the 3DS might make it a little bit better, but again, it's just the fact the matter is though, is the fact that you have to get a lot of usage on certain movements based off directional pads and stuff. So anyways, once you get to the third and the final phase, basically the actual, the arena itself is now changed to a star-shaped arena. So this meaning about the fact that trying to toss Bowser into certain distances make it a little bit trickier to able to aim for. But, either way though, it might not be that hard though. You just got to be very careful of, you know, the shockwaves that he sends, and also just getting hit by him, which I always attempt to do, ironically. But anyways, let's go ahead and deal with this last hit. And just about in the right angle, like so, then he's down for good. And of course, since we actually got all 150 power stars, we'll see what he has to say. No, you really beaten me this time, Mario. I can't stand always losing to you. My troops, worthless. They turned over all the power stars. White. Say that again. There are 150 stars in all? What? There were some in the castle that I missed. Now I see peace returning to the world. I really hate that. It's so horrible I can't watch. I'm out of here. Just you wait until next time. Until then, keep that touchscreen smoking. Gah ha 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 ha. So there goes Bowser, just vanishes, and somehow we get ourselves the ginormous Power Star. Even though, unlike in the forms of the original game, that obviously Bowser did say keep the control stick smoking, whereas in the DS remake he did say touchscreen smoking, which makes it a little bit obvious for the sake of that, you know what I mean. So anyways, let's watch the ending to Super Mario 64 DS for the Nintendo DS. Although it might play out exactly the same thing as the original start, except, well, obviously they managed able to replace Toads by, you know, Luigi, Wario, and Yoshi, and also you might see in a second that on the bottom screen it did manage to show us 4 giant Power Star particular objects.
Yoshi! The power of the stars is restored to the castle. And it's all thanks to you. Thank you all. We have to do something special for you.
Here we go!
Listen. Let's bake a delicious cake. For my heroes. Yoshi!
So yeah, that was it folks, that was the forms of Super Mario 64 DS for the Nintendo DS. So what's my final thoughts of this pretty cool remake to the beloved classic game from the Nintendo 64 game? This is certainly one of the greatest remakes ever, but I won't say this is more accurately the best remake, but at least it's pretty great as it is. Like, first of all, oh by the way, that bigger, wider penguin is back, well, assuming if you grab all the power stars in the game, so at least you got that to race against with. So anyway, what do I love about this remake? Well, first of all, they added in some new stages, which I do seem to enjoy, and also the playable character roster, which boosts up to, like, well, it was originally 1 from the original N64, but it boosts up to 4, which is awesome. Each with its different attributes and all that stuff though, which is really awesome, all things considered, just like in Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario USA, so even then though, that seems pretty awesome and top-notch feature. And also is the fact that the visuals do look really cool looking, even though it does feel a little bit slightly nicer compared to the original though. But I don't know, I just really like the original one a bit better, most notably because of the forms of the models can be a bit pixelated, but Bowser certainly looks a lot better in the remake though. But the soundtrack is usually left intact, which is still awesome and top-notch even to this day. And even it added in some new songs based off of the Mario games past, which is pretty cool all things considered. Most notably in Delfino Plaza music and stuff like that. And also everything else for this for the most part. And also, the gameplay still looks really awesome looking. It's certainly the same thing as Super Mario 64, as we all know and love. And the story, well, nothing too seriously, but it still looks exactly kind of similar to the original though, except the fact that with more characters and stuff like that, and plus you start the game with Yoshi as opposed to Mario, which is certainly a lot more different than I was expecting. And the only gripe I have with this remake though is that obviously with controls might felt a bit cumbersome to play. Well, to be more specifically, if you use the touchscreen controls, and obviously the directional pad might be the most stiffest thing in the world, which I certainly appreciate if I was able to play as on the analog controller, which thankfully on the Wii U Virtual Console re-release version did manage to have that, along with you able to actually play this game on the 3DS. So yeah, you should definitely still recommend this remake, and I certainly most people seem to already did that already. And especially noticeable, if you really want to get this game every now and then, you can either get this physically, or you can able to actually purchase this game on the Wii U eShop downloadable version, which it might not be seems that expensive though on the Wii U eShop version, but you should definitely still recommend this particular awesome remake. So yeah, it certainly feels a little bit more funner. So yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy this part, but we're not going to end off the actual Let's Play for this point right here, because join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario 64 DS, is that we'll be about to be showing you guys the mini-games. So like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys until next Monday. Later, fellas.